G'day everybody, welcome back to All Things Podcast. My name's Isaac, you're listening to episode 22, and today I am joined once again from Robbie from Stereo 10 Brisbane.
Hello.
Welcome onto the show, Robbie. Today
Thank
we'll be
you.
talking about many different things, so get your snacks, get ready, because today's episode is going to be action-packed. I can't wait, we got a lot to talk about. And if you didn't know, All Things Podcast is a viewer interactive podcast, which means I want to include my audience into the podcast any way possible. Whether that be bringing you guys onto the show, whether that be you guys giving me feedback on episodes, you guys giving suggestions on what we should talk about next. Just DM me on one of my social medias, or will be linked in the description of this episode, as well as Robbie's social medias. So go check him out at Stereo 10 Brisbane.
Yes, absolutely. We do have an enormous number of topics to talk about, so hopefully if everyone's got their snacks and their drinks, you guys can kick back and sort of enjoy what we have to talk about today. But obviously we're going to start the show with some sad news because we've lost some pretty amazing people in the last week. And I think we should start off with the Aussie legend herself, the person who came before Russell Crowe, Nicole Kidman, Hugh Jackman. Yes, we're talking about Olivia Newton-John, who we all remember growing up, or a lot of people remember growing up from Grease with John Travolta. Her music also won quite a number of Grammys, and she was also a massive advocate and supporter of breast cancer research, considering that she battled with it herself, and sadly she passed away at the age of 73. But the good news that you may have heard is that the family have accepted the Victorian government's offer to hold a state funeral for Olivia, so people from all over the world and all over the country hopefully will get an opportunity to attend that funeral and pay their respects to an Aussie legend and an Aussie trailblazer. So, Isaac, do you have any comments that you would like to give about that?
It's really devastating, actually. I heard it the other day, and she was an Aussie icon, a trailblazer. Obviously, it's affected a lot of her fans. Fans of celebrities like that. They look up to these celebrities like so much, and they treat, even though they don't know them, they treat them like as a family member. And the pain they go through when these people die is like losing their mum or their sister or their dad. How much it
exactly.
Faces you, yeah.
And speaking of mums and sisters and my mum, your mum, so many mums and daughters growing up all loved Grease, loved watching her play Sandy alongside John Travolta and those other actors. So it's a very sad time for them as well, because Grease was such a huge part of so many people's lives, and even the musicals that they still do today resonate how wonderful that movie was and how popular it was. So, but also for Olivia, she was just one of these people that didn't allow that celebrity status to go to her head. She was so genuine, so giving of spirit, so genuine as a lady and as a person to give of herself, of her time, to anyone and everyone. And she never allowed that kind of Hollywood persona to sort of change who she was as a person. And I think people will cherish that forever, and her music and her legacy will go on forever. So that's something that we should be very proud of as Aussies, that that we have people that have represented our country and made us all proud, because she is the ultimate Aussie ambassador, and she was the first. But I guess we also should reflect on another trailblazer that passed away,
Yes.
NICHELLE Nichols.
Yes.
From Star Trek. She was the first African American woman to play a major role in a television series or movie from any genre, playing Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek. And to make it to 89, that's a pretty good innings.
Really?
And also for people that might not be aware of it, from 1977 until 2015, Nichelle volunteered her time to promote the programs run by NASA and to recruit diverse astronauts,
Really
including women and ethnic minorities, to become a part of the NASA space program. So, yeah, like, for anyone out there that's a space nerd, because I'm a space nerd and a space junkie, and a lot of other people are as well. It's kind of cool that, you know, her portrayal as communications officer on Star Trek, you know, transcended down to, you know, playing such an amazing role with the real life space agency of NASA. So I think a lot of people should be thrilled to know that about Nichelle, and she will be she'll be deeply missed by a lot of people because she really did help a lot of other African American actors and actresses, you know, find their way in the industry to sort of shine and to blossom on stage and on screen. So a lot of people owe an enormous amount of gratitude to Nichelle for what she did, and we will all miss her, especially the Star Trek fans out there. We love Lieutenant Uhura. But we also had another passing too, which you actually told me about, Isaac,
Yes,
in a text message.
This one hit me hard. Paul Green. He was Maroons coach, Queensland Cowboys coach. Played for many different clubs over his years, from Manly Seagulls as a junior, captain the Queensland teams. You know,
Actually, yeah.
he did it. His career in rugby league was amazing. You know, if you're not from Australia or New South Wales or Queensland, don't get confused from rugby league and rugby union. Totally different. Some aspects similar, but it's a different sport. You know, he was an icon to the NRL, to the rugby league in general, and 49 years old. I woke up the other morning, and Thursday morning I think it was, and I saw the news, and I was devastated. He took the North Queensland Cowboys to their first premiership in 2015 against the Broncos. And I was watching some of the clips from that game, and you know, his reaction when Jonathan Thurston kicked the field goal that won them the premiership. You know, his face, his excitement was truly
infectious.
Yeah, it was. You know, it's a shame that this legend is now no longer on our earth. He's in a better place. And
well, what has been revealed too in recent days was this was not a health condition or a heart attack or anything like this. This has now drawn, you know, attention back to people who battle with mental health issues. This, unfortunately, was a case of suicide, and sometimes when people reach those lows in their life of feeling that they've lost all hope, or that they've been discarded and they're not welcome anymore, or whatever the case may be, these are the kinds of things that can send a person spiraling downwards towards that. And I really do hope that this, you know, helps to bring people together, to highlight that these issues are real. They affect people in really serious ways, and that we should always try and follow the mantra of that campaign, which we've all heard about, which is "Are you okay?" And I think if we can adopt better understanding and better support for those people that battle with those conditions, and I myself have battled with PTSD, depression and anxiety for many years, and I'm still battling with it to this day. I've probably only, chipped the tip of the iceberg on dealing with the issues that I sort of confronted growing up. But to get back to Paul, just to sort of, put things into perspective with his career, he was a winner Manly Seagulls junior in Brisbane. He captained the Queensland Colts before winning the Rothmans Medal in 1993. He subsequently won the Rothmans Medal again in 95. And when he won the Rothmans Medal in 93, he was playing for a very well-known club here in Brisbane known as the East Tigers, based out of Coorparoo. He's played for the Sharks, the Cowboys, the Roosters, the Eels and the Broncos as part of the National Rugby League competition. He's been a State of Origin player and a coach. He's played for Australia as halfback against international sides around the world. And as you mentioned, Isaac, he's taken the Cowboys to their first ever premiership win in 2015. So he really did have an amazing and illustrious career, and he was a lovely bloke. He was a lovely man. He gave a lot of his time to junior rugby league and to the rugby league world in general, and he will be sorely missed. So, folks, we thought it was important for us to talk about those losses first,
touching on Paul Green, Cowboys this season. I hope they can push. They're currently sitting about second on the table, and I hope this loss pushes them to win another grand final in honor of Paul Green's legacy. I hear what you're saying, and I'm sure if there are any Cowboy supporters out there that they would probably share that sentiment. Unfortunately, they did have a loss against the Roosters this weekend gone, and we have to be careful also when talking about things like, maybe because of the loss of Paul, that this might inspire them to win another premiership. Putting that kind of pressure on players and on teams over those reasons can be fraught with danger as well, because there's a lot of people that might be grieving his loss, and trying to put those kinds of expectations on the players can sometimes backfire badly. So I just think that wear the black armbands, do the respectful thing in Paul's honour and in his name, but don't put yourself into those untenable or unrealistic expectation positions of trying to win a premiership, because that's probably not a good idea. But again, we felt that it was important. We felt that it was respectful, both Isaac and myself, to at the top of the show, the most important part of the show, to sort of talk about the people that we've lost. And these people mean so much to so many people in different ways, all in our country and all around the world. And it would be remiss of us not to discuss that first and foremost before discussing anything else. So again, we've got a lot to talk about on tonight's show, or today's show. So let's get into that right after this little break.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Things Podcast. I'm now going to switch over to Isaac with some breaking Hollywood news.
Yes, Sylvester Stallone and IRWIN WINKLER controversy. Now, a Drago spin-off film is supposedly in the works from IRWIN WINKLER as the producer. And Sylvester... Yes, Owen Winkler. Sylvester Stallone, Mr. Stallone, he posted on his Instagram in absolute anger about this. He posted some screenshots of some articles talking about it, and he had this long caption. The post is now deleted, but he was going off at he was going off at Winkler and Winkler's children, and he was absolutely he was discussing and saying that this 90 however old he is, like 94 or something, 94-year-old is just feeding off the bones of the beloved Rocky franchise and trying to get to the roots to get that little bit of money. He's a money hungry producer, he was explaining, and he had a gutful.
So basically, just for those fans that might not be fully familiar with this, we're talking about those people that have watched the Rocky series. Rocky 4 was when Dolph Lundgren played the Russian Drago, and obviously in the initial part of the film, Rocky's friend Apollo Creed was killed from that exhibition fight, and then Rocky travelled to Russia to fight Ivan Drago in Russia and defeated him. And then obviously as time's gone on, we have seen Drago's son come out and fight against Apollo's son.
Adonis Creed.
Yep, and now basically what you're saying is that Owen Winkler is trying to kind of do the Hollywood thing of trying to cash in on the Ivan Drago character by creating another film and kind of not including Sylvester Stallone in that kind of discussion. Is that basically what we're talking about here?
Yeah, that's correct. Like, Sylvester Stallone knew nothing about this. Winkler basically stole the franchise off Sylvester. And, Winkler has been there, has been a producer since day one, since Rocky #1, when Sylvester Stallone was this poor young filmmaker. And he was there from day one, and he's just backstabbed him in the last decade or so. He's backstabbed him, stole the franchise, obviously created Creed, or he was producer for Creed as well. He did obviously include Sly into that, but now he's wanting to create spin-offs of other characters that do not need to be touched. The characters are perfect. Not every character in every single film franchise needs a backstory or needs something that happens next. Like,
and I tend to agree in some respects with what you're saying too, because it's kind of like if you keep trying to cash in, like what they were trying to do with the Police Academy movies or a TV series called Lost. If it continues to just keep going on and on and on and on and on, and there's no ending, people sort of tend to lose interest and roll their eyes, sort of thinking, what is this? Why, it's like kind of, Fast and Furious 274. Like, how many more Fast and Furious movies are they going to make? I can see it now. If it got to that point of, having that many films, are we going to see Vin Diesel in one of those, elderly geriatric, little carts, racing around this? It becomes ridiculous. But hearing what you said about Sly sort of jumping on social media and kind of having
deleted the post.
He's deleted the post. But it kind of reminds me too, back in 2009, when they were doing the kind of Star Trek reimagining with Christopher Pine and Zachary Quinto, they invited Leonard Nimoy to reprise his role as Spock. And when William Shatner found out about that, who was the original Captain Kirk, William Shatner lost his cool and started cracking up that they hadn't invited him to return to play Captain Kirk. Maybe this situation with Sly is a little bit more sort of genuine in the sense that if Irwin Winkler's really doing the dirty on Sly, maybe Sly's justified in kind of having something to say about it. So it'll be interesting to see how that particular story plays out. So Isaac, stay on top of that one, because
Yes,
if you
I
come
will.
across any more info,
I'll let everybody know. Yes.
we can share that with the fan base. Awesome.
Yes.
Um,
Dolph Lundgren, he plays Drago, and
hmm,
he also wasn't aware of a Drago spin-off film. He was aware, but he wasn't aware Sylvester Stallone wasn't going to be involved. So Dolph they kind of cheated him there and didn't tell him, because if Sly doesn't approve of it, Dolph Lundgren wouldn't do it. And if Dolph doesn't do it, who are they going to use for Drago? I doubt
exactly.
they would probably recast, but it wouldn't have the same feel if Lundgren wasn't playing Drago. It wouldn't. It would be a off-brand terrible thing. Like Dolph
Exactly.
Lundgren, he posted, which I think this post is still up on Instagram. He posted after Sylvester Stallone put up his big ramble about it all. Dolph said, like, in a few sentences, that he didn't know that Sylvester Stallone wasn't going to be a part of it. Now he knows he's definitely not going anywhere near it.
Yeah,
He is still best mates with Sylvester Stallone. They are still best buddies, and this doesn't change their relationship, which is really nice.
which is good.
Yes, I wouldn't want their friendship, to fall over this stupid money hungry producer Winkler who's just feeding off the bones of Rocky.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a real
And
shame
Sylvester
that
Stallone has also not just been best mates with Dolph for a long time since Rocky 4. Sylvester has always been a strong sort of supporter and advocate
yes,
of bringing
this,
Dolph into other film productions that Sly has been involved
yeah,
in, including I think there was a film, The Dispensables,
the
or
Expandables,
the
something like that.
Expandables, and
Yes,
you had Arnold
Expandables.
Schwarzenegger, you had
Yeah,
Sly, you had Dolph, you had Jean-Claude Van Damme, you
yeah,
had all the biggest
it's really good.
Hollywood, sort of dudes, and those films were brilliant.
Yeah, they were
So
wicked.
Sly's been a strong supporter of those actors, and giving them opportunities whenever he can. He's a legend in that regard. Yeah, definitely keen to stay on top of this one and
Yes,
see if they manage to sit down around the table and sort it out and
I
resolve their differences. So
I don't think the film will
yeah,
happen. I
no,
don't think it will.
we'll see,
You
we'll
know,
see.
to stay on the topic of, Rocky Drago Creed, Michael B. Jordan is directing Creed 3, and he was seen in
Nice.
seen recording, I forgot what city. He was at a boxing event, a natural boxing event, and the crowd didn't know that he was there to record. Um, he did it just before, like, the main event. He went out into the ring, and he had the mic, and he was telling that he was getting, like, the recordings of the crowd reactions, because obviously they don't have the fight in the middle of a real boxing ring. They have a fake boxing ring in a studio, and he was getting the crowd reactions. So you could see him on the mic saying, "Okay, everybody, in 3, 2, 1, I want you all to stand up and be like someone just got knocked out." And it was really cool to see that behind the scenes. I'm obviously a big Rocky franchise
Oh, me too.
nerd,
Me
and
too.
I love it. And Creed 1 and 2, I did enjoy. It's not the same feel as the original Rockies, obviously, but it
No,
it,
of
it is a
course not.
nice story. Creed 3, I don't feel as it needs to happen, as Creed 2 was a
No.
very lovely ending with, Rocky going back to his son and living with his son and his grandson.
Yeah.
But
And I
it's
always
happening.
love it too when they do these Rocky movies. They always get the announcer guy, I think he's based in Las Vegas whenever they
Michael
do these
Buffer?
proper fights. And he's always that
Yeah.
guy that stands in the middle of the ring sort of saying that classic line, let's get ready
ready
to
to
rumble!
rumble.
And
Yeah.
it always sounds really cool when he does that. Speaking of Michael B. Jordan, there's also been some talk just on the Avengers Marvel universe that since the passing of the original Black Panther,
Chadwick
that he
Boseman,
may end up, sort of, continuing out of respect,
Yeah.
sort of
The
the
legacy
role
of- yeah.
of the legacy of
Black
him
Panther.
by playing the Black Panther in the future. So that'll
The
be an
trailer-
interesting one to keep an eye on.
The
So,
trailer for
and
that
there is a
recently.
trailer out.
Yeah. It was emotional trailer. It was a really
Yeah,
nice trailer.
very.
It was a really nice trailer.
Definitely. But we've got more production news and fan
Yes.
news and other news to talk about after this break, including some updates on future Star Wars. So we'll be right back.
Sit back. We'll be back in just a few.
TunePocket.com.
Welcome back to All Things Podcast, and now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for some global production news from Star Wars. Take it away, Isaac.
Yes, sir. So we've gotten so much Star Wars news since the last podcast
Oh, we
episode
do.
on Star
Yeah.
Wars. Lots of it. So I'm gonna run through all the upcoming Star Wars projects, from films to TV shows
Awesome.
to video games, to it all. Now, the most recent one, the Andor show. It was set to be released on August 31, but has now been delayed from August 31 to September 2022 on the 21st, September 21. So about 3 weeks, which is a shame. But now
Is that because of the COVID thing, or what happened there?
Competitive stuff. There's other shows coming out at that time, and well, I think that's why. And it was originally going to air with 2 episodes and then the ordinary 1 episode per week, but now it's airing with 3 episodes and then 1 episode per week, and it will take us all the way into start of December. I think it's got 12 episodes, and it's live action, which is incredible. We've never had a 12 episode live action Star Wars show before, so I'm hyped for that. 3 episodes on the one night.
Just on the whole Ando storyline, just in case there are some sort of fans out there that don't know, what's this Ando thing or Andor thing all
Andor,
about?
yeah.
Do you want to tell
Yes.
people what it's
Cassian,
about?
so Andor is a character from the Star Wars universe. His name is Cassian Andor, and he is seen in Rogue One. Andor the show will play as a prequel to Rogue One, set 5 years before Rogue One, which means it's set 5 years after the events of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, yes, 5 years before Rogue One, so 5 years before A New Hope, as Rogue One and A New Hope, which A New Hope is the original Star Wars movie from 1977, that's basically in the same month. The end of Rogue One leads right into the start of A New Hope. And Andor, we're going to get more of his character throughout the show. Obviously, we're going to see many, hopefully many other characters, many cameos. The show's not going to just be about Andor. It's going to focus on the Senate. In the recent trailer, we see the Senate from Revenge of the Sith on Coruscant. We haven't seen Coruscant since 2005 from Revenge of the Sith. So, personally, I am really excited to see Coruscant. We could see Emperor Palpatine, Chief Palpatine in the Senate, controlling everybody, which would be very nice to see. It would be very nice to see Ian McDiarmid back as Palpatine once again.
Darth Sidious.
Yes, Darth Sidious, the famous Darth Sidious. Ian McDiarmid, I love him, dude. He's a great actor. I love him in Star Wars as the Senate himself, as he says in Revenge of the Sith. Darth Sidious, yeah. So
And
Andor-
speaking of Ian, if there are any sort of old school fans out there, of the Star Wars universe that might remember in the late 70s and early 80s, there was a program from Great Britain known as Sci-Fi The Professionals, and there was an episode entitled The Madness of Mickey Hamilton. And for any of the old school fans that remember that TV show, Ian actually played the character of Mickey Hamilton, and he was a distraught person, quite an angry person in the episode because his wife had died in hospital, and he basically took revenge on some of the hospital people for what had happened to the passing of his wife. So it's quite interesting that Ian has kind of played some of these sort of dark and twisted characters throughout his career. So I've actually got those episodes on sort of hard drive. So if people want to check those out, they're definitely worth it. But what other news have you got from the Star Wars universe, Isaac?
Before we move on to the next project, I just want to say a big happy birthday to the Emperor himself, Ian McDiarmid. A day or two ago, it was his birthday, and that just popped back into my mind. So happy Ian McDiarmid for
happy
yesterday.
Birthday! Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's getting old now. He's getting on, but he's still going to be the famous Emperor Palps, as we all know.
Maybe as he gets older, he might look more and more like the real
Yes.
Darth Sidious.
All the wrinkles get. Yep.
Yep. Cool.
What
other news we got?
To the next project. Now, this isn't really a big one. This is more of a little fun thing to, keep the fans together. And it was another Lego Star Wars collab. This one titled Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation. The third installment in the Lego Star Wars series, I guess you could say. Obviously, we had the Halloween themed one and the Christmas themed one. Now this is a summer vacation themed one. And it came out it was released on the 5th of August, worldwide, except in Australia and New Zealand. It is scheduled to come out here in late September. And have a guess to why they're doing that.
Dunno, enlighten me.
Summer vacation, because it's winter for us. They don't feel as it's the right time for us. But I've basically got all the spoilers now, so I basically know what happens, but I'm still gonna give it a watch. It'll be fun. It'll be all the Lego Star Wars little short films are always.
They do such an amazing job,
they do.
And it must take a lot of man hours to do that kind of stop animation with the Lego characters to be able to do that. So they do a brilliant job of it.
They do. Yeah. So I can't wait. Late September. I'll be on Disney Plus watching it while everybody else has watched it. But I guess it's reasonable that they're dropping it in closer to our summer because we're in winter. But that's interesting they actually did that. But is what it is.
Well, the one thing that we can absolutely say for certain on All Things Podcast is that there will be no spoilers for any of these programs or productions at all. We don't talk about that. We've obviously seen the interview recently between Jimmy Fallon and Hayden Christensen on The Tonight Show, and we stick by that philosophy. We don't do spoilers. So if you guys want to, sort of see it for yourselves, and then you can talk about it after you've watched it, that's fine. But there won't be any spoilers on All Things Podcast. Moving on. Okay, so what else is coming out from the world of Star Wars?
So, after Andor, we have the animated series Star Wars: The Bad Batch, season 2. Season 2, baby. Season 1 divided fans for some reason. It didn't. I loved it personally. I felt as it was a Clone Wars season 8. But a lot of fans felt there were too many filler and boring episodes. I will say it was long. It was 16 episodes, but I really loved it, and I felt like it was on par to the production quality of the Clone Wars. And to me, it feels like Clone Wars season 8, just with not as many clones. Obviously, we still get heaps of them. The Bad Batch go back to their home planet of Camino. But no, season 1, I enjoyed. I really did. Obviously the amount of cameos and things we got in, I enjoyed. And the trailer for Bad Batch season 2 has released. It released at Star Wars Celebrations this year, and damn, does it look amazing. Have you watched it? Have you seen the trailer?
No, in fact, I was actually going to ask you, for those people that haven't seen season 1 or the trailer of Bad Batch, is it similar to the animation that was used with the Clone Wars? Yes, exactly the same?
It's the same animation, yeah. For Clone Wars season 6 and 7. Obviously, Clone Wars season 1 to 5 was like a older version, and then like season 6 and 7, the quality went through the roof. And it's really good. I definitely recommend watching season 1 if you haven't seen it. It's really great, and I won't spoil it for you if you have not seen it, but I must say it's really season 2 looks amazing. Season 1 was amazing in my opinion. A lot of fans felt there were, as I said, lots of filler episodes. I will admit it was a long show, 16 episodes, but
yeah, that's a lot of episodes. Yeah.
Wow. I loved it though. I really enjoyed it, and season 2 I can't wait. You've got to watch the trailer. Do you want me to tell you what's in the trailer? Like the one biggest thing?
Well, no, we won't do any spoilers. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll put a link.
Yeah, the trailer.
For the trailer up in the description section, and people can check that out. For
the trailer, yeah, you guys gotta go watch it if you haven't yet. It was shocking. Like the first 30 seconds. It's amazing.
According to the run sheet, there is a lot of stuff coming out from Star Wars. So, let's run through this as well, because wow, these guys are really giving us a lot of content to sink our teeth into.
They are. Now, one thing, the Bad Batch, the release date isn't officially known. It was meant to come out September 28, but with Andor being delayed to September 21, that's a week before Bad Batch is meant to come out. And because Disney Plus, release the episodes weekly, I don't know if they're gonna release Bad Batch on September 28 anymore, as it will be on a Wednesday for both the shows. And I don't know if they're gonna cross the shows over. I doubt they would do that. So it looks like the Bad Batch season 2 will be delayed, which is a shame. And, that could delay future projects, and it could delay all the way up to The Mandalorian, which is set to come out in February of 2022.
Yes.
Which leads us into the next project, which is another animated Star Wars show called Tales of the Jedi. And it's going to follow 6 episodes all featuring prequel-era characters such as Ahsoka Tano, Mace Windu, Qui-Gon Jinn, young Count Dooku, which I'm very excited to see.
That will be interesting.
If you were at Star Wars Celebration, if anyone watching or listening to this went, you guys are very lucky, because you got to see one episode of Tales of the Jedi, and the trailer was also released at Star Wars Celebration to only the people that were there, but a lot of people recorded it with their phone and posted it on social media. Lucasfilm are trying to run around and delete them all. I've seen it, and it looks really cool. I can't wait to see it. Exploring more of Count Dooku's past, and obviously when Qui-Gon was his Padawan, and when Count Dooku was training him, which I can't wait to see. Liam Neeson is reprising his role as the older Qui-Gon Jinn, and Liam Neeson's son will be playing younger Qui-Gon Jinn, which is a really nice touch.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome.
So it's only
it's
6
also
episodes.
Rather interesting when you look at the kind of character development of Count Dooku before he became Darth Tyrannus. He was a Jedi Master. He trained Qui-Gon, and then Qui-Gon trained Obi-Wan. So to sort of follow this back, and then to also see almost this pattern where Darth Sidious and Palpatine has almost deliberately sort of entangled these Jedi characters. He did it with with Count Dooku. He did it with Darth Maul.
Yes.
And I think it was a deliberate plan
Yeah.
to use these
He used
Darth
them.
characters leading
I
up
totally
to
agree.
the fact that he knew that eventually, once he'd eliminated all the other Darths, he would then get to Vader. And it's quite interesting to sort of watch that kind of play out with Sidious, of this deliberate, I'll use him and then let him get killed, and then I'll use him and let him get killed, all the way up to Vader. Sort of shows that, you know, his name of Darth Sidious really
Yeah.
sort of speaks volumes about who he is as a character. So
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. You know, he used obviously first Darth Maul from a young age,
Darth Maul,
and
yep,
then obviously Count Dooku, as we know,
yep,
to just get closer to Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of
yeah,
the Sith. When Anakin has the two sabers up against Count Dooku, and he's about to chop his head off, Anakin's trying to resist. He's like, "It's not the Jedi way." You know, and obviously we know he ends up doing it, and Palpatine is sitting there, you know, and he says, famous line, "Do it." And
and
Count
and
Dooku,
it's almost like you can even see through all of that lead up right to that point in Revenge of the Sith, the one thing that really clarifies his determination to rope Anakin into his ploy and his plan, when he stands there and you see his face kind of grimace and go, you know, I can feel your power. It's like
yeah,
Sidious kind of knows that Anakin is the most powerful one of all of the Darths that he's ever had. And every single thing that Sidious has done has been a lead up to having that power at his fingertips. And that again shows, you know, the true nature of who Sidious is. He wants only the most powerful by his side. So to
and
feel Anakin's power and his face kind of, you know, I feel the, you know, it's one of those amazing scenes from Ian of how he portrays that feeling of sensing and feeling Anakin's power within himself. So
yes,
that's really cool.
and you know, going back to the scene of Anakin when he kills Dooku, the the look in Dooku's eyes when he looks over at Palpatine, when Palpatine
Yeah.
says, "Do it," he's like, you're my master," and
Mm.
he realizes at that time that he should have never gone to Palpatine. He should have never fell to the dark side of
But
the
guess
Force.
what? This also stems back to that scene
Yeah,
when Palpatine and Anakin are sitting in the theater, and Palpatine discusses with Anakin the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
yes,
Now, Darth Plagueis the Wise was Palpatine's master. Palpatine was the Padawan,
yeah, and killed
and
him
to
in his
see
sleep.
killed him in his sleep, so we can see that Palpatine slash Sidious has been killing his mentors and rivals and Padawans for
Yeah,
a very long time.
and
So
he just wants to be the ruler. He wants to be on top.
does.
Like
Yep.
this in the going back to Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation, in the trailer it has a clip of Palpatine on the beach and they're like celebrating and stuff. Obviously I haven't seen it, so I don't know the context, but in the trailer the guy at the beach says, "Who wants to be the ruler of the beach?" And Palpatine goes, "Ruler?" Like, it shows that he just wants to
Mm.
be on top and rule the galaxy, which he does. And then obviously Luke.
And it kind of also shows too with the later Star Wars films how Rey is such a powerful figure in unto herself because she's
a
Palpatine's granddaughter.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting as well that is finally revealed right towards the end of the films.
Yes.
So what else have we got coming out from Star Wars?
We have the best Star Wars show, the best Star Wars show, The
Mandalorian
Mandalorian season
season
3.
3.
February 2022. God, am I hyped. I saw the leaked trailer on Twitter. Obviously, the people at Star Celebration got to see the trailer. Lucasfilm haven't released the trailer to the public yet, which is annoying, so I saw like a really bad version of it. But wow, it looks
Wow.
it looks really cool. I can't wait for the
Well,
trailer to
from
come
what I've
out. Like,
heard from the rumor mill, is that because Dinjarin has the dark saber, that there is a belief that he may head back to Mandalore to claim the Mandalorian throne. We obviously saw that scene from earlier productions of the Imperial bombers flying over in formation across all of Mandalore, bombing the daylights out of it and destroying the planet. So hopefully this might be Din Djarin sort of saying, well, I'm going to help put Mandalore back together again because this is the way. One of the moments that I think most fans found incredibly endearing and very cute was when little Grogu's tapping on the window, wanting to go faster, and then of course his reaction when he hits the button, the little squeal that he does, that was adorable. So we're probably going to see a little bit more of that. I know a lot of the girls that I know, they just thought that was the cutest thing ever.
No. Mm-mm. No. All right. But this is the last time.
So, the Mandalorian Season 3 is going to be pretty epic. And I think people are going to really respond to that one quite favourably if they do the story correctly. Just on the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett and a few of these other productions that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have been working on, a lot of the older school fans that have grown up watching the original film in cinemas from the 70s, watching The Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi during the 80s, we found it quite laughable and quite disappointing. The number of fans that have nitpicked and criticised individual and tiny minor elements of some of these productions that Dave and John have released. Now, what people need to realise is that both John and Dave have been given the blessing from the Star Wars creator himself, George Lucas. And secondly, and probably more importantly, John and Dave have made it their business, made it their mission when producing and writing and creating these additional stories and giving fans all this content that we otherwise wouldn't have had. They've made it their mission to do things based on the original canon, based on the original elements and feel and gravitas of those original movies that we grew up with. So for these so-called fans to constantly nitpick and criticize, such minor detail is not only unnecessary but also incredibly unfair. I don't recall a situation where fans would nitpick and criticize elements of an individual episode. If you want to criticize something about the program, then criticize the entire series or the entire movie. Don't sit there and nitpick and criticize little tiny insignificant elements from individual episodes, because if you were to actually sit down and watched the entire series like a binge watch from Ep 1 through to the end, then the story would not only make a lot more sense and have a lot better flow, but each of those individual elements would all intertwine and be connected with one another and play a role of why it was written that way or why it was filmed or created that way. There's a reason for why these guys are doing what they're doing. And I think if we can have a positive and a healthy appreciation for the fact that if it hadn't been for these guys, you know, we could have, pardon the expression, you know, Hollywood sausage factory crap instead. What would you prefer? Hollywood sausage crap, sausage factory crap, or the stuff that Dave and John are producing? Yeah, I think I'll stick with what Dave and John are producing. Thank you very much.
I'll agree with that. And I've seen like a lot of fans saying, I would rather have a good sequel trilogy than all the other stuff we're getting. And I agree with that aspect. I'd rather have a good 3 films, 3 sequel films, like good sequel films than what we're getting, all the stuff. Like, I'd rather have 3 good sequel films over The Mandalorian, The Kenobi Show, The Book of Boba Fett, or upcoming shows if the sequels are good. Because I will admit, if George Lucas was still in charge, I doubt we'd be getting the amount of shows we're getting.
No, we wouldn't be.
But we would have got a good sequel trilogy, and I would be happy with that, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just on that point too about what John and Dave are doing, if people haven't seen this, and we were talking about Sylvester Stallone earlier, there is a video on YouTube where Sylvester Stallone is on a podcast being interviewed by his daughters.
Yeah, I've seen
And his daughters are asking him what is the most difficult thing about being involved in this industry and the enormous work that goes into producing a movie or a TV show. And Sylvester talks about writing. Writing these stories is a very time-consuming, energy-sucking and draining exercise to create the characters, to create the storyline, and yet Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have done an amazing job of trying to write and create the stories that then get turned into these productions. And it is an enormous challenge to be able to do those stories the justice that they've been given. And on top of that, both John and Dave are perfectionists. They don't like creating material that is in any way substandard. They want material that is the best possible work that they can produce. And for them to be that critical of their own work, to make it the best that they possibly can, and to do their best to write from the perspective of what a fan would want to see and what a fan would love, it really does become a bit of an insulting slap in the face when these so-called fans who have no idea what goes into producing these programs, they've never done anything like that themselves in their life, and they wouldn't even know where to begin in putting a show like that together. They come out and criticize it and nitpick the way they do. Man, that's just disrespectful to those guys. And I really think that if we're going to embrace these programs and embrace this visual candy that we're being given, I'm not saying that people shouldn't have criticisms. That's fine. But please, base those criticisms on an understanding or a knowledge of what it is that you're actually talking about before you open your mouth and say stuff that really just is just nitpicking and complaining for the hell of it. You know, I'm sorry, that's my 2 cents worth on my support for John and Dave.
Yeah, I totally
and for all those other great, what's that great director's name that did Obi-Wan Kenobi? Like, you know, another legend. Deborah Chow, legend. You know, there are some really talented, awesome people out there trying to give us some visual awesomeness, and I think we should just do our best to embrace it, enjoy it, and just, let it be. We can't change it, so what's the point in complaining about it?
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Like, I'll give I want to give my opinion on this.
Please.
Like, John and Dave, I love. Like, I wish they did the sequel trilogy. I feel like they should have. Sequels. It visually was visually amazingly. The visuals were great. It's just the storyline wasn't like Star Wars. But with Deborah Chow, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that. I'm not calling her a bad director. Like, she did awesome directing on The Mandalorian for season 2. I think she did a few episodes for season 1. But like a few things in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, like the directing, I wasn't a big fan of. But she still, like, other work she's done was amazing. But Obi-Wan Kenobi show, her directing wasn't up to par what she's done in the past, in my opinion. That's my take. That's my opinion. Yeah.
My attitude on that also to some of these fans, and for those fans that have seen the reimagined Star Trek movie from 2009 with Christopher Pine, when he's just been beaten up in the bar and he's got tissues hanging out of his nose because his nose has been bleeding. There's a line from Christopher Pike, Captain Pike, right before he walks out the door of the bar. And he says to Kirk, a young Kirk, he says, "I dare you to do better." Well, that's what I say to these fans. If you think that you can do a better job of what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have done, then, I dare you to do better. I dare you to stand up and have a go, because I guarantee you won't. So,
like, going back to, like, my opinion on the Deborah Chow directing for Obi-Wan Kenobi, I don't feel like I could do better. But, like, seeing her past work, I just don't think it was up to par of her work on Kenobi. That's just my opinion. I don't think I can do better than her, because I can't. She's a professional film director. I'm some kid from some Star Wars fan. I don't think I can do better than her, but just seeing her past work and then looking at Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, some of this stuff, I'm not saying it was all bad. Some of it was amazing, some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen, but some of it also was not the greatest.
But I don't think that any of us can expect absolute perfection with this stuff.
No.
And I also think that, like a lot of the old school fans have said, why can't people just kick back, relax, and then just enjoy it? You can't change it. So just love it. Just love it for what it is, and be happy. Like, I totally agree with that idea.
I don't agree with that, because, like, I don't want to watch something that I don't enjoy. Like, just because it's Star
of course
Wars,
not.
like, doesn't mean I'm gonna enjoy it. So that's like, just because it's Star Wars.
But on that point, if we were to take all the material that has been made in recent times to do with the Star Trek universe, on a percentage, how much of that material would you say has been, pretty good? Okay, I'll give you my opinion. In my opinion, about 80 to 85% of the new Star Wars content that has come out has been thumbs up. Maybe 10, 15, 20% hasn't been as good, but you know what? 80 to 85%, that's pretty good. And if that means that, we need to accept the fact that a majority of the content has been good and only a little bit of it hasn't been so good, well, you know what? They're odds that I can live with.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough.
Like,
I'll go through. So, like, Clone Wars Season 6 and 7, loved. Bad Batch Season 1, loved. Star Wars Jedi
Just do a percentage of all of it.
Well,
like what I just did then.
Okay. I wasn't a big fan of sequels, and that's going to take a lot of percentage. So
okay, well, based on all of that knowledge, you give me out of 100% how much of that content since
all of this
the original stuff, as in from Disney taking over to now.
Yeah.
Yep. to now, how much percent out of all of that, out of 100, would you say
60%.
has been? Okay, so you're saying 60%. I'm saying about 80%.
60%.
Okay.
That's still good. That's more than half.
That's still better than half.
Yeah.
You know, and that's nothing to scoff at either. Although I personally believe, as do a lot of old school fans, that it deserves a higher mark than 60. Because you've got to remember, as I said, if it hadn't been for these people doing it, guess what? We wouldn't have any of it.
Yeah, like, that's true.
And what would you prefer? What would you prefer? None of it, or what we've got?
That's tricky because some of the
See?
stuff, none. Some of the stuff I still would want. Like the sequels, I don't want to be canon in the Star Wars universe, but it is. So that stuff, but like all the shows,
Yeah, but
I'm happy with
some of that material was not developed, written, or produced, or created, or whatever by Dave and John.
Yeah,
So we can't include that.
No,
see?
no.
Out of the material that Dave and John have done, mate, I'd give them
90% was good.
95%.
Yeah,
easy.
I agree with that. John and Dave,
You know,
95% of what they've done
definitely.
has been, yes.
Some of the sequels, yes, I do agree with you that some of the sequels have been a little bit lesser on the percentage scale.
Yes.
But again, I still think that they've been worthy enough and good enough to not cop some of the criticism that they've copped.
Yeah.
But the fans that I'm referring to are the fans that have really given it to the material that John and Dave have produced, and I really don't think that some of their criticisms has been fair or warranted at all. So, but hey, we've got more to talk about.
Much more.
We don't want to get off on tangents to do with all of that, but I think it was just important for us to set the record straight.
Yes.
And on that point, let me give a big shout out to the amazing guy that has given your podcast a massive thumbs up. And can you just remind the fans who that person is from the Star Wars universe? Because we've got to give him a massive shout out.
The biggest Star Wars YouTuber on the planet, nearly has more subscribers than the official Star Wars YouTube channel.
Yes.
He inspired me to create my own Star Wars YouTube channel. If you guys didn't know, I'll link that down below. I just talk about Star Wars. Star Wars Theory, my favorite YouTuber. I watch all his videos, every single one. I listen to every single one of his weekly podcasts.
I've seen quite a few of them too.
Sometimes they go for 8 hours, and I listen to the full 8 hours. They go. Sometimes they can go up to like 8 hours. He talks with his mate, Josh, who also has a Star Wars YouTube channel called The Den of Nerds. But yes, I want to give a big thank you to Star Wars Theory for liking the past episode me and Robbie did together when we talked about Star Wars. So yeah, something we would like to
and we hope that he tunes into this one as well, because we wanted to give him, a mention and a big thumbs up of thank you for support. And for myself, my own YouTube channel received an equivalent big subscriber recently. There is a radio network in this country known as the Triple M Network.
Yeah.
The Triple M Network subscribed to my YouTube channel just the other day, and I showed Isaac the screenshot of the email that came through, and I was pretty stoked with that because these guys are a national network, and they're a network that we've grown up with in this country since we were kids.
And
so that was really cool.
That the people behind this have seen your face before. Like, I it's hard to talk to Star Wars 3 during his live streams because he has thousands of people in it. And for him to, see the podcast episode we did, it's like, it's really nice to know that, he saw me. Like, that's just, it's really cool. Like, it's really cool.
And I think one of the reasons, and this is just a theory, sort of a nod to his name, but maybe it's also because we're actually discussing and have been discussing our own kind of theories about
Yeah.
some of what we think and feel is happening within the Star Wars universe. And I think some of those theories and ideas and discussions have resonated with him, which is probably one of the reasons why he's given you a like and given our podcast a like. So please, I hope that continues. That's really cool.
Yeah, me too. When I got the notification, I was, is this the real one?
Yeah.
I clicked it immediately, went to the page, says following 400k followers on Instagram.
And I remember the text message
Yeah.
that you sent to me. Like, I really did feel like when I read the message, it was like, I think Isaac's head's about to explode.
I was so I was like, no way. And then also my
That was
last
cool.
podcast episode, I talked about Elvis. The director, Baz Luhrmann.
Baz
Saw
Luhrmann!
it as well. He liked it.
How
It's
cool is
amazing.
that?
That was really cool. The director of the 2022 biopic, Elvis, Baz Luhrmann, he liked it. It's really
See,
cool.
this is all about what Isaac and I have been talking about, you know, having good content,
Yeah.
improving production values, having interesting topics to talk about, and by building a profile.
Yeah.
And hopefully, through the course of time, as we keep doing these podcasts, we can spread the word and have more local people come on to Isaac's show
Yes.
and join him for whatever topics you guys want to talk
Anything.
about.
That's the name
Anything.
of the show. All things. Literally
All things.
all things. Anything.
So literally, we were gonna talk about this at the end of the show, but I'm gonna mention it here as well, and Isaac can mention it again at the end. If you're a local person, especially here in Southeast Queensland or Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Toowoomba, wherever, and you're aged between, say, 13 and 25,
Yep.
you could be, you know, an up-and-coming athlete for the Commonwealth or Olympic Games. You could be a person that wants to get into film, television, multimedia. You could be, you know, anything. You could be a Lego guru. You could be
anybody.
absolutely anything and anything that you are into, whether it be animals, pets, Lego, toys, whatever. If you want to talk about it, or you want to talk about important, serious topics like mental health or anything at all, you know, drop Isaac a message.
Yeah, on any of my social medias.
On any of his social medias,
All
or send him an
things
email.
podcast on
And
everything.
and that's, mate. If you're not a shy person and you can jump in front of
Yep.
a camera
I'll talk to
and
him.
you're happy to talk about whatever,
Yep.
you don't have to be the best speaker in the world. You can you know, muddle your way through it as best as you can. But hey, it's all about what you guys want to talk about.
Yes.
And that's what's important, because if that helps you guys build a profile for yourself, build your confidence, get your name out there, and allow you the opportunity to talk about the things that you're passionate about and the things that you love, then that's what this program is all
That's
about.
literally my dream, is to bring literally any single person onto the show to become the most viewer interactive podcast
Absolutely.
on the planet. I want to talk to people who are pilots, who are makeup artists, who are aspiring businessmen, businesswomen, any single
Whatever.
person, anybody.
And absolutely, when he mentioned men and women, we want this program to be as diverse as we possibly can. We are going to be, you know, across the board on issues that affect both guys and girls. And we're not going to be gender biased or any of that kind of stuff. You could be a trans person trying to get your message out there about better awareness of the things that you have to go through in your life. So, and especially for women, you know, this is an important platform for young girls and for women to get their name, to get their voice out there. So, whatever the topic may be.
Anything.
Right?
I'm open to discussing anything with anybody.
Absolutely.
If you're,
But
age 13 plus. Send me a DM. We got a bit sidetracked there. Wow.
Yes, we did a bit, but we
Okay.
do have more Star Wars topics
We
that
do.
we have to
We
finish. So let's do that. So we've done Mandalorian. What's next on the list? And I guess we should try and run through some of these a little bit quicker.
This next one I think we can get through quite quickly. Star Wars Visions, season 2, volume 2, they're calling it, is set to be released in 2023. And what Star Wars Visions is, it's this fun little anime TV series that Star Wars hires these Japanese anime gurus, and they make these fun little anime Star Wars shows. I haven't seen season 1. Let me know if I should. I haven't seen it. So season 2, for everyone hyped for that, get hyped. I'm sure it will be good. I might watch it. I might tune in. I'm not really sure. I'm not really interested in anime. That's my personal opinion. If you are, if you love anime, then get hyped for it. I might watch season 1 before it and watch season 2. Who knows? But I'm sure a lot of people will be hyped for that because apparently it was really good and it won lots of awards. At the at like the TV, like the Oscars for TV shows. Forgot what it's called.
Anime Oscars or something.
Yeah. It won lots of awards, like many. So it seems really good. I might tune in.
Okay.
The next one on our list is another.
Oh, AHSOKA.
Yes, another epic show that is done by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau as the executive producer. Dave Filoni is going to be writing every single episode, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he's directing every single episode as well.
Wow.
Which is awesome. It's set to be released in 2023, and it's set during the Mandalorian timeline, which is 9 ABY, which means 9 after Battle of Yavin, 9 years after the Battle of Yavin. And Battle of Yavin is A New Hope, is when Luke and his co-pilots all blow up the Death Star. That's what Battle of Yavin is. It was called the Battle of Yavin. So yeah. So if you ever hear the term ABY or BBY, BBY means before Battle of Yavin, which basically means before A New Hope, and ABY means after Battle of Yavin, which means after New Hope.
Yeah, and don't get BBY confused with the little ball droid.
No, no. So yeah, 9 ABY set in the Mandalorian timeline and will expand back to the Star Wars Rebels timeline, to the animated series Rebels. Obviously, we're going to have to see how Ahsoka actually escapes where she's left off in Rebels. She gets trapped, and obviously we need to find out how the hell she gets out.
And the Ahsoka character has been incredibly popular with Star Wars fans since the animated Clone Wars series. And then to see Ahsoka as a live-action character has also something that has been incredibly well embraced by the fan community. So that's really good.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's probably the project I'm most hyped for. We could see Ezra and Thrawn. We will. Ezra and Thrawn at the end of Star Wars Rebels. In hyperspace, those big whales, the space whales, that can travel through hyperspace, bloody hit into them and they get stuck in space. So did Thrawn kill Ezra? Did Ezra kill Thrawn? Or are they working together to survive? Who knows? And we hopefully will figure that out in the Ahsoka show, coming out in 2023 on Disney Plus. One episode is completely done. Dave Filoni put out a statement the other day. One episode is editing and finished, and he watched it, and he said it was very emotional. And he said he quoted, he said it was a religious experience. So that makes me even more hyped for it, and I can't wait. I hope we see more of Luke, how Luke and Ahsoka met, as we saw in Star Wars: The Book of Boba Fett. They were together. We could get many cameos. Obviously, Ezra, Thrawn, Sabine is confirmed. We know the actor for that. We could have Hera. We could have, Luke could train Kanan's child. So much could happen, and I can't wait. We could get Princess Leia, Han Solo, and Luke all together. That would really be nice.
Mm.
I
What
can't
else
wait.
we got coming out?
It's going to be really cool, and yeah, next year, big year for Star Wars. I can't wait for that. Now, Young
Cool.
Jedi Adventures. It's coming out in the USA spring, which is the Australian autumn. The Australian autumn for us, I think. It's set during the High Republic era. Don't know anything about it. Apparently, it's going to Disney Plus and Disney Plus Junior, so it's more of a little kid show. I'll be watching,
Okay.
obviously, because it's Star Wars.
We've got the
And
Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte. I mean, I've
yes,
been hearing a little bit about these two as well.
Skeleton Crew is also set in the Mandalorian timeline. Apparently, it's set with these kids who get lost in space. Jude Law will be starring in it. That's about all we know. Set in the Mandalorian timeline, as I said, coming out next year. And the Acolyte, probably like the third show I'm most excited for. It's set 100 years before the Phantom Menace. So like the end of the High Republic era, and then opening into the Republic. And yeah, it's like a Sith-centered show, and there's been leaks lately that I haven't looked into because personally I don't like looking into leaks for shows that I really am excited for, because
Yeah,
it could spoil it. That happened with me for the Obi-Wan
exactly.
Kenobi show. I saw leaks, and those leaks came true, but it is what it is. So I'm not looking at leaks no more. So Acolyte said 100 years before the Phantom Menace should be fun. And that reminds me of a video game that is also set many years before the Phantom Menace, Star Wars, the Star Wars Eclipse. We've got the cinematic trailer for that a lot while ago, like 10 months ago. That looks very good. Looks like a polished video game. We obviously see Yoda in the trailer, so we could see Yoda in his prime during that video game. Not going to get into much of that, and also the Lando show. To be
Now, the Lando show. Now, if this, for those old school Star Wars fans, has anything to do with the famous character Lando Calrissian, who we all remember, played by Billy D. Williams, then yeah, what's the go with Lando?
So you've obviously seen Solo, the movie.
Yes.
Yes, the actor who plays Lando Calrissian in that, Donald Glover, will be starring in this one, so he'll be playing Lando.
Nice.
It's going to be set around the time of Solo. I'm not 100% sure right now, and they're just waiting for Donald Glover to give them a go that he can do it, because he's a very busy man. So they're just waiting to see when he's available. Who knows when it's going to come out?
Maybe this will
2024.
maybe this will also possibly shed some light on how Lando Calrissian ends up becoming the administrator for Cloud City.
Cloud City, yes.
If it
will.
touches on some of those elements, that would kind of tie that storyline together very nicely with The Empire Strikes Back. So that'll be very cool to see that.
Yes,
what else we got?
We have this. No one knows anything about this. They released it back in 2020, during the middle of the pandemic. Star Wars: A Droid Story. It's set to be a film, and who knows if it's cancelled? Who knows if it's going to come out 2025, maybe 2026, more likely. Who really knows at this point? There's like, who knows with Star Wars films? They're really like delaying them a lot. Like, yeah. I really hope. I just want to go. I really want to go.
So it could be like a bit of a a Toy Story type movie, but
Maybe.
It's kind of made with droids instead, possibly.
We know nothing about it, but
We don't know
it should be something fun. Now, the Book of Boba Fett season 2.
Season 2. Okay,
Maybe.
this is interesting.
Maybe.
Now, on that very point, we were discussing earlier, or I was discussing with you earlier off camera, that Mr. Morrison, the man who played Boba Fett, has been
Fett, all the clones,
putting out some statements on social media, wanting Boba to, go back to the original badass bounty hunter kind of, attitude and approach. And I think that would be not only very cool, but the fans have sort of said, yeah, we want to see Boba be the badass that we love him to be. So that'll be very interesting if they can actually create that, and what kind of roles, what kind of intertwined storylines Boba and his entourage will be involved in. So that would be very cool.
Yes. It was leaked by Disney Mexico or something at one of like the presses or something. So it's most likely going to be true. A lot of like foreign countries do release a lot of like leaks for shows. I've noticed that, especially Star Wars. Like I think like China Star Wars leaked something about the Mandalorian one time, and so this is most likely going to be true. It could be maybe come out December 2023, but who knows at this point? We know nothing. Obviously, it's not even confirmed. I hope it's true.
No.
I want to see Boba Fett go back to his badass ways, like
Me
we
too.
see in Empire.
And I did the only two bits of information that I've seen from Mr. Morrison since the ending of the Book of Boba Fett season 1 was a wonderful New Zealand gentleman carved a beautiful Boba Fett helmet with all the Maori markings all over it, and there was also a little video where he was back in his native Rotorua, and he was walking into this beautiful hot pool and just soaking and relaxing after finishing production on the Book of Boba Fett. So they're the only two things, apart from what we've heard about returning to the badass Boba Fett ways that we've really heard, but we'll keep the fans up to date on that.
At the end of the Book of Boba Fett season 1, when Boba and Fennec Shan are walking through the city, no, not really city, town, and they're bowing to everybody because they just saved the town. Boba Fett says to Fennec, "I don't think this is the life for us." So that could hint at him going back to being that badass, cold-blooded killer bounty hunter that never talks.
Absolutely. Now, to wrap up the Star Wars
Some
kind of
potential
canon story, what are the final kind of news that you've got on that topic?
Upcoming potential, hopefully, Star Wars films. I really want to go back to the cinemas for Star Wars, and the 4 or 5 likely films is Rogue Squadron. It will be done by the Wonder Woman director, Patty Jenkins. She said that she's always wanted to create a fighter pilot film, and she's found that Star Wars is the right one to do it in, because her dad was a fighter pilot and he died servicing America as a fighter pilot. So since then, she's always wanted to create one, which is really nice. And then obviously the famous Marvel director and Thor director, Taika Waititi, his film 2023 or 2024 maybe. He's currently in the middle of writing it. We don't know what it will be about. Probably hundreds of years after the events of the Rise of Skywalker. Then we also have a Kevin Feige potential film. Kevin Feige is the president of Marvel Studios, and he's always said he wanted to do a Star Wars film, and apparently he's been given a contract, and he's in the middle of also writing it. He will be writing and directing it and producing it. No, I don't think he's directing it. I think he's writing and producing it, and I feel like that'll be epic. I hope it's like Old Republic Star Wars film, which is like years before The Phantom Menace. And then obviously the director of Star Wars The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson, has a potential Star Wars trilogy, which is 3 films that he might be working on events after Star Wars 9. And Lucasfilm have trademarked 3 new names. It was the Circle of the Resistance, the Circle of Resistance, and 2 others around that similar name, and that could hint at Rian Johnson's trilogy. So it's obviously set during the Resistance period, which is set during 7, 8, 9, so it could be a few years after number 9. It could follow Rey building a Jedi temple, and, maybe Finn learning the ways of the Force, which would be quite cool to see. I want to see Finn back in Star Wars. In The Force Awakens, we obviously got him with the lightsaber, and then they clickbaited us with him. He never became a Jedi in the sequels. But it is what it is. I am hyped for that, even though I was nowhere near of a fan of The Last Jedi, which Rian Johnson did. I am hyped for his films. And that's a lot of Star Wars news we just went through.
That's a lot of Star Wars
like
news, and obviously
50
there will
minutes of just
be
much
more
more.
to come. Isaac is clearly across the board on
Yes,
pretty
I-
much everything that's happening with the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
So we're
Absolutely.
going to take a quick little breather,
Yeah.
and then we'll be back with a lot more from
Yes, we
All
will.
Things Podcast.
Stay tuned, guys. We'll be back in just a few. We're back, and now it's Robbie's turn to do all the talking. He's got some Star Trek news to talk about. Take it away, Robbie.
Thank you, Isaac. Yes, in Star Trek news, Star Trek Picard is being released very soon. There hasn't been an official date on the release, but what we can tell you is that for all those Star Trek The Next Generation fans, it's essentially bringing the Next Generation crew back together again. So we're talking about Picard, Riker, Data, Beverly Crusher, Geordie LaForge, all of them, probably even Chief O'Brien. So we'll try and get more information on that, and we'll make that information available to you guys as soon as we find out ourselves. There's obviously some bits and pieces that are being released via social media, Star Trek pages, and YouTube, but we'll certainly do our best to stay across the board on that. Now, for those Star Trek fans out there that have been tuning in and watching Strange New Worlds, this program has taken the Star Trek world by storm. We're talking about something, a program that has become as big in the Star Trek world as The Mandalorian has been in the Star Wars world. Strange New Worlds has just gone gangbusters, and Star Trek fans are really loving that kind of old school reconnection to the original series with Kirk and Spock and McCoy back in the 60s. And that's essentially when this is set. It is set pre-Kirk, McCoy, and Spock and Scotty on the Enterprise. So we're talking about the very early days of the Enterprise, because for those fans that know, the original captain of the Enterprise was Captain Robert April, and then he stepped down to become an admiral, and Captain Christopher Pike took over. Now, we have seen a very young, early version of this Captain Kirk that they've put out on Strange New Worlds, and there's been a sort of mixed reaction from the fans. Some people have embraced it. Others think he looks like, the Jim Carrey spoof from a few years ago. So there's been, some fans have liked it, some fans have not. Some fans that have criticised it have said he doesn't really possess the charisma and the sort of the prowess that the original Shatner Kirk had in that original television series from the 60s. So we have only seen a small part of this Kirk at the moment, so there's obviously more to come. The fans have also had a lot of fun, especially online, with the ever-changing and ever, growing size of Captain Pike's hairdo, kind of reminiscent of Marge Simpson from The Simpsons with the big blue hair. So there's been a lot of funny memes and pictures and images about the Captain Pike hairdo. In fact, I even created one that was, at least 20 foot high. We'll keep having a bit of fun with that, because that's just a bit of fan fun. There's also rumours that there's going to be further Star Trek movies in the pipeline following the USS Kelvin timeline, which was the Christopher Pine, Zachary Quinto Star Trek series. Now, the one part that's very sort of sad for Star Trek fans was the fact that if that does go ahead, it will be without Anton Yelchin, who played Chekhov. And for those fans that may not be aware, Anton was tragically killed back in 2016. What happened was he was supposed to attend a rehearsal or an audition, and while he was leaving his driveway, his vehicle somehow got stuck, and when he tried to hop out of his vehicle to check on it near the front gate of his property, the vehicle accidentally rolled back, and he was pinned between the back of his vehicle and the brick fence. And it was very tragic, and basically the autopsy and the doctors said that he died of accidental asphyxiation. So in other words, he was crushed to death and couldn't breathe because the vehicle had pinned him against the brick fence. So obviously the Chekhov character probably won't be reprised, but there's a lot of other information swirling around with the Star Trek universe. There's also a possibility that Star Trek Voyager may return in movie form. There's also possibility that some of the Voyager crew members may also return in older years to the Star Trek universe, including Admiral Janeway, as well as the Doctor, who was obviously a hologram, and there still could be some connections between the Federation and the Borg. And we've already seen some of that with Seven of Nine returning to play her role in the Star Trek Picard series as well. So there's still a lot of material that is being thrashed around in the Star Trek universe, and there's upcoming productions, upcoming movies in the works. So we, again, will do our best to keep you informed on that. But we'll take another quick break because there obviously wasn't as much news on the Star Trek world as there was in Star Wars, and we've got some other sci-fi news and updates to talk about when we get back, unless of course there's anything that Isaac wants to add to the Star Trek discussion.
No, I think you pretty well covered it all. I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan. I haven't seen them all. Like, I've seen bits and pieces. Obviously not as big as you, like as big as a fan as you are. But no, you've covered it all pretty well.
Beautiful. Well, yes, we will be back with more sci-fi news in just a few seconds. Okay, folks, welcome back to All Things Podcast. I'm joined by the host and creator of the program, Isaac. Now, time to get into a little bit of other sci-fi and other update news, just to give the fans some material to sink their teeth into. The TV series entitled Halo has been quite well received by the fans of the original hardcore gamer sort of game. I didn't play Halo myself, and Isaac tells me that he didn't really play Halo. I played, Battlefield, Call of Duty, Far Cry series, the CODs, all of that stuff. But I didn't really get into the Halo thing. But I have spoken to a lot of mates of mine that were die-hard Halo players, and they tell me that the Halo TV series has been very popular, very well received. It is definitely attempting to follow as much of the original canon of the game. So, if you have a different opinion on that, or if there's some things about the Halo TV series that, maybe you're not as happy with, you're more than welcome to leave a comment in the comment section below, and we'll do our best to, investigate that for our fans and try and get more of a balanced sort of, debate happening on the Halo TV series. In other sci-fi news, for all those Battlestar Galactica fans, and we're not talking about the reimagined series from 2003, although that was an incredibly awesome and powerful series, which I absolutely loved, and have watched all of it and all the webisodes and every other extra that they put out there, including Caprica, etc., etc. This movie idea is meant to be based on, in part, the original television series created by Glenn A. Larson, the man who also created the original Knight Rider from the late 70s and early 80s. And the original Battlestar did come out at around the same time as the original Star Wars and the original Star Trek, the motion picture. So there was a lot of this space nerd, space junkie stuff that all came out at the same time as the original Star Wars. So this movie is currently under development. We haven't had any specifics on the plot as yet, but me being a massive die-hard Battlestar Galactica fan, I will certainly be delving into as much information as I can on that. But it is believed that not only is it going to be in part based on that original 1978 series, but also the animation, the Cylons, the Colonials. That fight will obviously be a lot better than the unfortunate repeated scenes that we saw in that original TV show. And the reason for that was because back in those days, that type of production was incredibly expensive and the technology was still very limited. And it was unfortunate too, because the program had such amazing storylines, such amazing potential to be more than it was, and it was simply held back, not just by Universal, the studio, but it was also held back by budget constraints and the lack of technology that was available. Fast forward 2022, 2023, the technology is there now to produce that kind of, cinematic, spectacular, visionary elements that we come to expect from these types of productions. And even the 2003 to 2008 series was like watching, movie quality in a television show. So that Battlestar series from that time was well ahead of its time and was so well received by so many fans. So again, we'll keep you up to date on what's happening with Battlestar Galactica as it unfolds. Now, for all those massive Lord of the Rings, Tolkien, the Hobbit fans, which I am one of those, the Rings of Power, based on the world of Tolkien, is being released this September. Now, there seems to be, again, a lot of very mixed reactions and opinions on whether this is truly legit to the writings of Tolkien, or this is just another attempt to cash in on elements of the original story. And there are some fans that are embracing it, and there are other die-hard fans that are vehemently opposed to it and have stated that they will not be watching it. So it's really one of those cases where we're going to have to check it out and make an opinion for ourselves on what we think. But if it is true to form in following the Tolkien story, then maybe tapping into the Tolkien family and finding out their opinion may also play a role in helping the fans to work out whether this is worthy of watching or not. It's not being released on Disney, it's being released via another network, So I don't remember the network off the top of my head, but we will stay on top of that one and try and keep fans informed as it gets released. Now, other notable future movie mentions that I've researched are in pre-production include Beverly Hills Cop 4, Eddie Murphy reprising his role. Now, obviously, Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 were fantastic. They were produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, who also did the Top Gun films. The third one, even Eddie Murphy himself said, this was a really shit movie. He didn't like it, and it wasn't produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Not sure on Beverly Hills Cop 4. We'll have to wait and see where that's going to go. There's also been talk of another Police Academy film coming out. Go figure. There's also Kill Bill 3. So that'll be interesting, considering that Bill is already dead. Aquaman 2 from the DC world. Obviously now without Amber Heard.
Yeah.
She's been dumped from the production because it's been proven that she lied about what Johnny Depp did to her. And just on that point, there's a lot of people that don't want to hear about this lady anymore. They don't want to hear any more stories on social media. They just want this. They just want this woman to go away. And on that point too, pretty much every single girlfriend that's ever been out with Johnny Depp has all said pretty much the same thing, that he was a lovely bloke, he was a sweetheart, and that he never hit them or did anything bad to them while they were dating. So maybe that just goes to the heart that Amber Heard lied. Now, there's also some talk that there's going to be more Avatar films coming out. Now, for those people that remember the original Avatar film with the Aussie actor Sam Worthington, and Sigourney Weaver was also in that film. It was a James Cameron production. We'll keep you posted on that one.
Avatar 2 is like December this year. And then 3, 4, 5 are confirmed.
Coming after that, there's also talk that we're not sure if Hugh Jackman is going to reprise his role, but there's also Real Steel 2 coming out, which is, I think, to do with the fighting robots. And on that point, to do with some of the old school stuff, based on some of those awesome cartoons from the 1980s, we've got Thundercats coming out as a film. Not too sure at this stage whether it's going to be live action or CGI animation. We'll keep you posted on that. One film that is definitely getting a lot of sort of rumours and discussions and a lot of fan interest is based on an 80s cartoon called Mask. And one of the things that we will do in this podcast is we will include one of the YouTube links to the original Mask theme song, which is without doubt the funkiest and coolest rock ballad theme song for a cartoon ever created. And there's even been cover versions by some pretty funky dudes doing cover versions of the Mask theme. So Mask was a very popular cartoon from the 1980s. I know that my cousin was a massive fan of Mask. So for any of those people out there that love the old school 80s cartoons, and let's face it, TV shows from the 70s and 80s and cartoons from that era were by far the best. So we'll keep you informed on that in the description below. Now, one rumour that has surfaced on social media, we don't know if it's completely true or not, or whether it's a hoax, but so far the fans that we have kind of seen comments from are absolutely disgusted and upset by this. There are reports that Jerry Bruckheimer has unfairly ditched Johnny Depp for the next rumoured Pirates of the Caribbean film for actress Margot Robbie to play Captain Jack Sparrow. And of course, Margot Robbie is an Aussie. We love her. She did a great job playing the Joker's ex-girlfriend, Harley Quinn. But I'm sorry.
No, she's not. No, Captain
All
Jack
Things
Sparrow's-
Podcast are going to state it categorically right now. You cannot do this to Captain Jack Sparrow. Captain Jack Sparrow needs to be Johnny Depp. There is no other person that could play that role as well or as brilliantly as Johnny. We love Johnny. I have watched and supported Johnny's career since I first saw him in the 80s at school, growing up watching him on 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
You know, we have watched his career blossom and flourish from 21 Jump Street, Edward Scissorhand, right through to, you know, modern films like Transcendence, etc., including Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm sorry, as much as we love Margot Robbie, you cannot replace Johnny Depp, who was found, well, innocent of really doing anything wrong at all. You can't unfairly ditch him in replace of Margot Robbie to play that role.
You can't just like replace Jack Sparrow like that. There's
you
no
can't.
way.
No, you can't do it.
I'd rather
So
just not do any more Jack Sparrow.
Exactly.
Pirates of the Caribbean films if they're gonna do that.
Exactly.
No more.
And I think most fans would say the same thing. When people were talking about Amber Heard being in Aquaman 2, a lot of fans said, well, if you put Amber Heard in Aquaman 2, we're boycotting your movie. Well, I think if you ditched Johnny Depp, considering he was found not guilty, and you put Margot Robbie in there as Captain Jack Sparrow, guess what, Jerry Bruckheimer? I think the fans will boycott your movie as well. You cannot ditch... Yeah. You can't do this to Johnny.
It would do terrible at the box office. Nobody...
It would.
I don't think
no one would take it seriously. No one would want to watch it because Johnny Depp just does Jack Sparrow, and not just because of the fact that fans have become, you know, so familiar and so used to loving and seeing him play that role, but there are a lot of fans out there that have also seen those videos on YouTube where Johnny gives up his time, gets dressed up in costume, and goes into the children's hospital to brighten the days of those really sick kids fighting leukemia, fighting cancer, and fighting other terminal illnesses, to sort of, you know, put a smile on their face. And I think you would also be breaking the hearts of those young kids if you replaced Johnny Depp with someone like Margot Robbie. As I said, we love Margot. She's an Aussie. She's doing really well in Hollywood. And, you know, any Aussie that's over there doing well, we'll support them no matter what. But to replace Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, I'm sorry, but you just can't do that. There are some characters that you just... that would be like replacing, you know, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man with someone else. You just...
Yeah.
You just can't do that. So, I really hope that this is a rumour. I really hope that this is a hoax. And that this hoax is proven to be exactly that. So, we'll investigate it, and you guys can investigate it as well. But we've got to send a message to Mr. Bruckheimer. Please, do not do this.
No, it would be the worst, dumbest mistake in all of film if they did it.
Absolutely.
It would flop at the box office. Reviews would be terrible. Critic reviews, well, you never know with critics these days.
Exactly. So again, we'll keep you posted on that. Now, we do have some a bit more news to get through. So again, we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll be back to
We'll be back.
we'll be back to wrap up the podcast.
We're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. Just sit
See you
back
soon.
for this last bit. We'll be back.
Pocket.com.
And we're back. You're listening to All Things Podcast. My name's Isaac, and today I'm joined by my guest, Robbie from Stereo 10 Brisbane. He's got something very, very cool to talk to you guys about, so get to it.
Okay, this is called Global Fan News. Now, obviously, we don't often hear about these kinds of cool things being done by fans around the world, but this one is particularly cool, especially for all those fans that grew up in the 80s watching Knight Rider on TV. We're talking about the Hoff, David Hasselhoff. That's right, the man that we all saw in that video recently, drunk eating hamburgers, but we're not going to talk about that. He was the one man who could make a difference, driving around in an intelligent car that had more personality than he did. Well, the Knight Rider historians are a group of people from America who are diehard Knight Rider fans. And what they've been able to achieve through Patreon, through social media, and through their YouTube channel is not only have they managed to find original screen-used kit cars and spent an enormous amount of money having those Knight Rider kit cars restored to their black, beautiful glory with all the, intricate dashboard inside and the Knight Rider steering wheel. And we're talking about my favourite car here. We're talking about, a Pontiac Trans Am or a Pontiac Firebird. But these guys, in recent times, have also found the original semi-truck and trailer. The semi-trailer that the Knight Rider car used to drive in and out of on the show, which was used as the, the mobile command center and repair center for Kit. So in the middle of a mission, if Kit needed repairs, he would drive up the back of the trailer on this ramp into the trailer, and either Bonnie or April would do their repairs on Kit. Michael would talk to Devon, the boss man, a flag, and then Michael would jump back in Kit, drive out the back of the trailer, do a big burnout, and then drive off to continue with his mission. Well, these guys have found the original truck and trailer, the original semi-trailer that was used on the show. And they are in the middle of pulling it all apart, restoring it, and putting it back together again exactly the way that we remember it on the TV show. So for any of those Knight Rider fans that are out there that just love the idea that fans could have the resources and the money and the support and the willingness to actually invest the thousands upon thousands of dollars that it is going to take to restore these vehicles back to their original show value is just incredible. I would love to see that with the A-Team and Airwolf and all these other great shows, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. Airwolf Chopper got destroyed, no one knows where the A-Team van is. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, then you can join the thousands of other fans who have signed up. I've signed up and subscribed to their YouTube channel for all the latest. And I did tell the guys that I was going to give them a big plug. Well, this is the big plug that I wanted to give them because I'm a die-hard Knight Rider fan as well as a Battlestar Galactica fan. Both of these shows were created by Glenn A. Larson back in the early days of the 70s and the 80s. And as I said, these things don't normally happen with fans because fans don't have the resources and money and support and the ability to be able to do all that, and yet these guys have managed to pull it all together. These projects are going to be very successful. They're very exciting and cool to actually see this old school, nostalgic, original sci-fi awesomeness getting restored. So even if you're not a massive fan of the show from the 80s, even if you're just a fan of cool projects, check out their YouTube page. They're called Knight Rider Historians. They've got websites, they've got merchandise you can buy. There's all sorts of cool stuff. They're even restoring the actual truck, the actual big rig that pulled this trailer. So there's a lot of cool stuff to check out, as well as the Knight Rider cars. So again, check it out. Knight Rider Historians on YouTube and their website and Patreon. We'll be back with some final news in a few moments. Thanks, guys. Okay, welcome back to All Things Podcast. Now, obviously, this podcast has gone on for quite a long time tonight, and we understand that. But we have to finish off with some very important All Things Podcast news. So let me just start off by saying that I'm going to be working with and assisting Isaac over the coming weeks and months to improve the production values and presentation of the shows by obviously preparing better run sheets, and we used a professional run sheet tonight, and I think everyone can agree that the flow of the program and the conversations and discussions that we had tonight were a lot cleaner and more polished than previous podcasts. And we're also going to try and make things a little bit more conversational as well between myself and Isaac, and also being more interactive with you guys. So I'm going to sort of let Isaac talk a little bit more about some of that as well, and touch on some of the points that we talked about earlier. So Isaac, what would you like to add to that, mate?
Yes, firstly, I just want to thank you, Robbie, for, helping me improve the production quality of my show, All Things Podcast. I obviously want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. This was I would say, a very polished episode of All Things Podcast. So far, 2 hours and 20 minutes I've been recording to. So I can't wait to edit this. It's gonna be long, but I just want to thank every single one of you who listened and watched for this long. If you're hearing this right now, please know I'm very grateful for every single one of you that stopped by and listened to my show. Yeah, really means a lot. And the more views I get, the more I actually want to do this, and the more it could become more than just a hobby, which is what I really hope. But yeah, once again, thank you, Robbie, for helping me improve the production quality of All Things Podcast. I'm sure all the fans will agree with me of thanking you. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And I want to open the podcast to more inspirational local Brisbane or Southeast Queensland young people, whether that be future athletes, sport people, anybody looking to increase their profile, in the hope it will increase their media presence and funding support leading up to major events. Or you might know a young person who could use this kind of like a little promotion. So if you know anybody who is inspired to do something, send me an email, send me a DM, get them to DM me, get them to email me, and get them to say what their story is, why they want to come to the show, and what they hope their future will be, and what they're generally interested in. I'm happy to have anybody on the show, whether that be athletes, film people, makeup artists, tattoo artists, any single person I would love to talk to, and hopefully bring up your profile and get some people knowing about you. And same goes with
Yeah.
me, hopefully, if me and you chat, whoever, we could both build each other's profile, and that would be really dope,
Yeah, and it
anybody,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They could be a disabled person. They could
any
be a
single
guy, a
person in life.
girl, trans,
Everyone.
LGBTQI. They could be just someone that wants to talk about their love of teddy bears. They could be
Anyone.
someone, that wants to talk about anything. It doesn't really matter if you're aged between 12, 13 to 25 or whatever. You're a young person. And you feel inspired and you want to, lift your profile, then give Isaac a bell and,
Please.
talk to him about what it is you want to talk about and come on the show.
I would be really interested in, featuring and interviewing a lot of you people, literally anybody. So, hit me up, give me a DM, give me an email. Everything's linked down below and on my channel. So, just send me a message and we will chat and hopefully get you onto the show. So, yeah.
And just on the point about lifting production values of this podcast, as you guys are watching this podcast, you guys will also see little video snippets. You'll
Yes.
see stills and images of some of the topics that we've been
We can
talking
really
about
post-production.
to try and make it as kind of polished and interactive a production as we can possibly make it. And just for the future of what we're hoping to achieve, not only with Isaac's show, but Isaac's skills and training in the future. We're also endeavouring to allow Isaac to become involved in, for example, more camera operation and practice, direct application software and education, as well as much training as we can provide in areas of film, video, audio, graphic design, promotional and multimedia production as possible. There are a lot of productions that are now starting to really open back up post-COVID, and there are opportunities for a lot of young people like Isaac to have that kind of mentorship, to become involved in those productions and to learn new skills and to develop into the sort of person with his career that he wants to develop into. So we're hoping that with those real life productions, that there'll be more for you guys to see as you're watching these podcasts as well, and we'll try and include as much of that content as we can. And as Isaac's podcasts start to develop more of an audience, and there are more guests and more people becoming involved in his show, Stereo 10, as has been mentioned before, was the youth station back in its heyday. Well, guess what? Stereo 10 is going to continue that legacy, going to continue that tradition, and in the future, as Isaac's podcast becomes more popular with people, it's going to be featured on the Stereo 10 Facebook page, along with any other young person out there that wants to set up an interactive podcast about whatever topic and conversations they want to have with people in the local area too. So this is not just an opportunity for Isaac to have a podcast being promoted on Stereo 10. This is an opportunity for any person who wants to set up and feel that they've got things that they want to talk about, or it could be, a podcast on mental health issues. Well, if you're a young person that wants to put something like that together and you want to get your podcast out there, contact me, contact Isaac, and we could end up with 6 or 7 or 12 young people all running their own podcasts, all featured on the Stereo 10 Facebook page and receiving the kind of publicity and support and audiences that you guys need to, generate that kind of strong following. So keep us informed.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, that
Well, yeah,
pretty
well.
much sums it up from me. Is there anything that you want to add, Isaac,
I think
to wrap
we
it up
covered,
before we shut it down?
we covered lots today.
We
Really proud of
did.
this episode. Really happy with it. So,
Me
I gotta
too.
go off. It's currently midnight, so I gotta go off, edit this, snip out all the bloopers, add all the images in, all the videos I'm gonna add in post production, and
And
make
all the
this
links.
really great. All the links I'll put them in the description for all you guys. This episode really, I hope this gets out to people. I really hope people see this, and
Yeah, definitely share this amongst all your friends, guys, girls, whoever. Because at the end of the day, this is for you guys. This is for young people. And we don't want anyone feeling that, they don't want to hear about what I have to say, or they don't want to listen to me. That's not true. Young people really do need to have a platform for themselves. And for a lot of young people, they have felt rather neglected and ignored, especially with all the stuff that's happened with COVID and lockdowns and all the rest of it. This is your opportunity, guys, to, break free of all of that and to get your voice out there. So if that's what you want, if that's what inspires you, contact Isaac. But I've said enough, so let's wrap this show up and put it to bed.
Share this with all your friends. It would mean a lot, if you got a long bus ride to work or school. This will be available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, every single podcast platform you can think of, YouTube, everything. So, plug your earphones in, and give this a listen. Share it with your friends if you did enjoy, and if you feel like this should be out to other people, because it would mean a lot to us. And we just really hope this reaches the right audience and the right people.
Yep, definitely. Sounds good.
Does.
Awesome. Isaac, thank you so much for having me on your show again, mate. It's been a pleasure and a treat. So really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Robbie. Check out Robbie at Stereo 10 Brisbane. All his links will be in the description. Go give him a like on Facebook. Go check out his Stereo 10 Brisbane website. There's some epic stuff on there. His YouTube channel. Go check it out. Everything linked down below. All my socials linked down below. Everything.
And there'll be more news in the future.
Yes. Get ready for the next episode. Quality content is just getting started. It's about to
explode.
Yes, it's about to take off. So everyone get excited.
Thanks, guys.
Spread the word, and thank you, everybody. Give us a like
next time.
if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. See you guys. Bye-bye. Oh, and edit this.
Woohoo!
Go.